My parents wiped out my childhood bedroom and tried to grab my business before the whole family. Grandma said, "Your golden son has been embezzling." Can you imagine spending your entire life being told you're not good enough, only to discover your family's grand plan to humiliate you, steal your business, and then, when it all goes sideways, still expect you to clean up their mess? That's my Christmas story. The air in my workshop, usually thick with the scent of sawdust and possibility, felt heavy with the lingering echo of a past I thought I'd finally escaped. My hands, calloused and strong from years of shaping wood, still held the phantom H of disappointment. For 31 years, I'd been Owen, the family's invisible son, perfectly comfortable in the periphery, attending holidays, smiling on cue, watching my parents dote on my golden siblings. While they were running a commercial real estate business in Bergen County, 33 years in the family, a supposed legacy, I was in Red Bank, New Jersey, crafting handmade furniture. Not just any furniture, mind you. We're talking high-end pieces, tables that fetched more than some cars, chairs that took 4 months of meticulous work, every joint flawless, every finish perfect. This wasn't some hobby, it was an art, a demanding craft that took time, precision, and genuine expertise. Last month, I delivered a conference table to a hedge fund in Greenwich. The guy paid $32,000 without a flicker of an eye. His wife, she burst into tears, actual genuine tears, she loved it so much. Meanwhile, my parents, they thought I was doing arts and crafts. They despised it. Every single Thanksgiving for the past 6 years, my dad, David, would ask when I'd get serious. Every birthday, my mom would send me job postings for property management companies. My older brother, Caleb, was the VP of acquisitions, the literal golden child. Mom had a framed photo of him shaking hands with the governor in the main room. My photo was stuck in the hallway bathroom. I was the peasant, the man who worked with his hands. 5 days before Christmas, I drove up to the family estate in Saddle River, grand colonial with a circular driveway. I wanted to be early this year, help set up, maybe finally feel like I belonged at the table instead of just being tolerated. Stupid. Right, despite everything, I still clung to this belief that family mattered. Our housekeeper of 20 years, the only person in that house who genuinely smiled when she saw me, opened the door. "Oh, Owen! Nice to see you!" she said, before leaning in conspiratorially. "They're upstairs." She paused, glanced behind her, and whispered, "Yeah." Inside, Mom and my younger sister, Chloe, were hunched over spreadsheets on the coffee table, like they were planning a hostile takeover. "Hey, I'm here," I announced. Mom barely looked up. "Leave your coat in the hallway, Owen. Don't touch the decorations. The staging company is coming back tomorrow." Chloe gave a brief nod. "Oh, good. You arrived early. Remember when he used to help set up? Every time he moved the furniture, it was done incorrectly. He even scratched Mom's antique credenza. It was dismissive, patronizing, as if I were a child incapable of basic tasks. Things started getting weird when I went upstairs to use the bathroom. My old room, the one I'd stayed in since I was 8, had someone else's luggage outside the door. Turns out, it was for one of Mom's investment friends. I stepped in. Every single personal thing I had left there, photos, books, tools, was gone, shoved into plastic storage boxes and piled in the corner like rubbish, waiting for pickup. "Mom?" I yelled, but no one answered. I headed toward Dad's office, intending to ask about my room, and then I heard my name. I froze. "Slides after dessert." Dad said, his voice calm, business-like. "Keep it brief." No argument. I squeezed against the wall, barely breathing. Then Caleb's voice. "Put the salary chart on the TV right after Dad finishes the introduction." He's unable to say no in front of everyone. That was it. That's all I heard, but it was enough. "Mom, once he's in, we combine his shop with ours. Control the client list." My pulse hammered. I stumbled back, then crept to the printer room at the end of the hall. There, in the tray, still warm, was a stack of handouts. Owen's career path. I grabbed one. Charts comparing furniture manufacturer incomes to corporate roles. My name appeared in bullet points with intervention strategy in the heading. They'd even created a PowerPoint titled Objection Handling. They'd assigned tasks. Mom was supposed to suit me. Once I regained consciousness, Chloe would handle social media optics, as if I was some PR problem to be managed. The 52,000. That's what they assumed I made. I made 165,000 last year, but they never asked, never verified, never even considered. I took one copy, then another as evidence. I walked out of that house without saying a word, got into my pickup and drove. No sobbing, no panicking, no real plan yet. Just drove. In the rearview mirror, I watched the security gate close behind me. 20 years. 20 years of trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I wasn't worth their time. Done. By the time I hit a rest stop on the Garden State Parkway, 4 decisions were clear. 1. I was going to supper. 2. I was going to let them unleash their trap. 3. I was going to detonate it in their faces, in front of everyone. 4. I was going to do it quietly. They wanted a spectacle. I'd give them a show. I called Liam, my best friend from college, who'd helped me set up my studio. He answered immediately. Hey, what's up? I just discovered my whole family's plan to disgrace me around Christmas dinner. I blurted out. PowerPoint presentation, printed handouts, everything. There was a long silence. Are you joking? I have pictures. Where are you? Parkway Rest Station. I'm going back to Red Bank. What are you going to do? Show up. Let them think they have me cornered. Then blow it up in front of everyone. But I need ammo. Real numbers. Proof that everything they believe about me is wrong. Liam was silent for a second. Come to my apartment. We'll build your counterattack. Liam lived in Asbury Park, in a converted warehouse loft he'd renovated himself. When I arrived, he already had coffee brewing and his laptop open. Talk, he said, handing me a mug. Those complete jerks, he eventually remarked. All right, you're going to that dinner, but you're going prepared? That's the plan? Good. What do you need? Financial statements, tax records, client list, anything that shows I'm not the failure they believe I am. They're going to ambush me with bogus figures. I'll bury them with real ones. Liam nodded slowly. We can put together a package tonight. Print everything. You walk in with receipts. We literally spent the next 4 hours building my arsenal. Tax returns showing 165,000 income. Bank documents proving consistent deposits. Client testimonials I'd saved over the years. Pictures of completed works in clients' homes. A portfolio that proved I wasn't joking around in business. I was successfully operating one without their help, their money, or their approval. Liam even looked up their company's public filings. Dude, he whistled, their accounts receivable are a catastrophe. They've been bleeding clients for 2 years. Your brother didn't just take from them. He sabotaged the entire enterprise while he was at it. Liam even helped me practice what to say, how to time my reveal for maximum effect, where to stand so everyone could see me when I brought out my packet. This is solid, he stated after reviewing the final package. They display their bogus numbers. You display your genuine ones in front of everyone? Checkmate? Perfect. After we finished, I made the phone call I'd been putting off. The one that could change everything. Hello, Grandma. It's Owen. Oh, and this is a surprise. Her tone was kind but guarded. Is everything all right? Not quite. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen. I told her everything. The presentation, the fabricated wage figures, the plot to coerce me into the firm. When I finished, she was silent for a long time. Your father called me yesterday asking for a substantial loan, she eventually remarked. When I probed him about why, he became evasive. Now I understand. Her voice hardened. Caleb has stolen from them, hasn't he? That's what this is all about. My stomach sank. How do you know? I've suspected for months. When David discussed the business, the numbers never added up. She paused. To make up for their losses, they planned to attack you and seize your business. Appalling. I'm going to supper, Grandma. I'm going to let them do their little intervention, and then I'll reveal everything in front of the entire family. Another pause. Then, good. And I will be there to back you up. You will? Absolutely. It's time to hold them accountable. Her voice was like iron. Do not take any calls from them before supper. Let them believe everything is normal. And Owen, do not hold back. We hung up. I had my ammo. I had an ally. Now I just had to wait. I spent Christmas Eve in my workshop, finishing a commission, trying to be calm. My phone continually buzzed. Mom's calling. Dad's calling. I ignored it all. Let them wonder. Let them sweat. That evening, I drove back up to Saddle River, parked in the circular driveway, and stepped inside as if nothing had happened. The house was full. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family, and acquaintances, all dressed up. The annual family Christmas dinner was in full swing. Mom noticed me first. Relief flooded her face. Owen, you arrived? We were concerned when you didn't answer your phone. I was swamped with work, you know how it is. She didn't know. She had never asked. Dinner was the typical performance. Expensive food, fake laughter, Dad holding court at the head of the table, Caleb making sure everyone knew about his latest contract, Chloe casually mentioning investors. I sat quietly, waiting. After dessert, Dad stood up and clinked his drink. If I could get everyone's attention before we head into the living room, I'd want to share something unique, a presentation on our family's future. Here we go. Everyone moved into the living room where a projector was already set up. I picked a seat in the back. My grandma caught my eye from across the room and gave me a tiny knowing nod. Dad launched into his speech, the company's legacy, the importance of family unity, the necessity for everyone to participate. Then Caleb stepped forward with the clicker. As many of you know, Owen has been pursuing alternative career paths. He grinned at me patronizingly. We've compiled some information to help him see the big picture. The first slide appeared. Owen's career path. Charts displaying furniture manufacturer salaries, national averages, and my name in bullet points, 52,000 in large red letters. As you can see, Caleb added, the ceiling for this type of art is really restricted. Meanwhile, our family company provides real development opportunity, advantages, and stability. That's an interesting number, I replied, standing up. The room went silent. You could hear ice settling in cups. Where did you acquire this? Caleb blinked. Industry averages, standard research. Really? I pulled the packet from my jacket because according to my tax filings, I earned $165,000 last year. Do you want to see? The room was dead quiet. I have bank statements too, customer testimonials. Photos of things I've made that sold for more than some people's automobiles. I walked toward the front, making sure everyone could see me, my voice calm, but each word landing with an intentional thud. But please, keep going. Tell everyone about my failed hobbies. Dad walked forward. Owen, now is not the time, is it? You set up a whole presentation, I countered, holding up my phone. Printed handouts. Even made a slide called objection handling. I have photographs of everything in the printed tray. Do you want me to share them with everyone in the room? Mom's face went white. Chloe's mouth dropped open. Here's what's actually happening, I began, turning to face the gathering family. Each aunt, uncle, cousin, and family friend stared at me with wide eyes. The corporation is insolvent. They're losing money, and instead of admitting it, they plan to humiliate me into joining so they can use my business to bail themselves out. Gasps from the aunts. Murmurs from the cousins. One of my uncles whispered, Jesus Christ! Not true, Chloe yelled. Really? I gazed at her. So the firm is doing nicely. No cash flow issues, no investor concerns. Dad didn't contact Grandma yesterday and ask for a loan. Silence. Dead. Devastating quiet. My grandma stood up. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. It's worse than that. Her voice pierced through the room like a knife. I had sensed for months that something was awry with the company's finances. David phoned me recently, asking for a large loan. When I pressed him, he confessed that there were abnormalities. She stared directly at Caleb for years of irregularities. Caleb's face went pallid. His hand, which held the clicker, began to shake. Your golden child has been embezzling, she added, her voice echoing around the room. And rather than deal with it honestly, they decided to drag Owen into their mess, use his clean reputation, steal his client list, and fold his legitimate business into their failing one. On Christmas Eve, the room erupted, everyone talking at once. Accusations flew. One of my aunts rose and began gathering her belongings. My cousin took out his phone, probably texting everyone who wasn't present. My uncle, who had always agreed with my parents on everything, stood up. David, tell me right now, is this true about Caleb? Dad couldn't even look at him. My uncle grabbed his coat. For 33 years, I defended you to my wife. It's been 33 years. He walked out, so I followed. Then 2 more cousins. Dad tried to restore control. This is a family business. We shouldn't be discussing. You made it family business when you planned to humiliate your son in front of everyone. My grandma cut him off. You should feel embarrassed. All of you. Caleb, Chloe, and especially you, David. This youngster created something tangible while you were busy coddling a criminal. I looked at my parents, brother, and sister. They had spent years making me feel useless. People who assumed I would simply accept their crumbs. I built something real, I whispered gently, but everyone heard. Without your help, without your approval, without your respect, and you thought you could just take it because you needed a bailout. Mom began weeping. Dad's cheeks became crimson with shame. Caleb looked like he wanted the floor to devour him. I walked toward the door. Owen? Wait. Mom instructed, grabbing my arm. I pulled away. Don't. We're finished here. I stepped outside into the chilly December night, the sound of mayhem still emanating from the home behind me. Got into my pickup. Drove. 2.5 hours later, I pulled into a cabin driveway in the Poconos. My phone continually buzzed. Mom. Dad. Caleb. I ignored it all. Let them panic. Let them try damage control. The truth had finally come out, and it was spreading like wildfire across the family. My grandma texted me, I'm proud of you. They are still reeling. Half of the guests departed after 25 minutes. Your father attempted to save the evening, but no one was having it. Call me tomorrow. One from the housekeeper, Mr. Owen. I packaged your items carefully. They will be in the garage when you are ready. Well done tonight. They needed to hear it. Christmas morning in the Poconos felt like waking up in another life. My phone seemed possessed. I read through messages while drinking coffee, each one more gratifying than the last. Dad? Owen, your mom is distraught. This prank reflects negatively on your judgment. We need to talk about this as a family. Chloe, you have always been selfish, but this is the next level. You embarrassed us in front of all. Pathetic. Caleb, do you genuinely believe you're somebody exceptional now? All you did was embarrass your family. This is not over, little brother. Not even close. That final one had me laughing. Still posturing. He still believed he had leverage. I deleted it without replying. Another message from my grandmother. Last night, half the family phoned me. The majority are disgusted with your parents. Several cousins want to order furnishings from you. Your aunt claims she was always aware that David was a phony. Well done. I remained in the Poconos through New Year's, using the time to plan. I devised a growth strategy, developed drawings for additional items, and even wrote proposals for a gallery display in New York. For the first time in years, I was able to think about the future without being weighed down by my family's criticism. You're going to need help. Lime told me one afternoon as we worked at the cabin table, you can't manage the demand alone. Not after what occurred on Christmas. Word is going to spread. People are going to want pieces from the guy who told off his entire family. I understand. I'm thinking of employing someone, maybe 3 individuals if the gallery idea works out. Are you scared? I'm terrified, but also ready. For the first time in my life, I feel prepared. Back at Red Bank on January 4th, my workshop felt different, fresh eyes. There were 27 new queries pending. A gallery in Tribeca wanted to talk about representation, and I had lunch planned with my grandma on the 10th. The old Owen would have been concerned about visiting family. The new Owen was really looking forward to it. January 10th, a restaurant in Montclair, classy and quiet. She was already sitting when I arrived, sharp-eyed and straightforward as usual. She rose to hug me. Owen, you look well. Thanks, Grandma. We got through small talk swiftly. Then she placed down her menu and stared directly at me. I owe you an apology, she explained. For what? For not saying something sooner. I knew how they handled you. I saw it for years. Should have intervened rather than waited. You weren't part of their plan? No, but I made it possible with my silence. She drank her iced tea. That's over now. I made it obvious to your parents that their actions were inappropriate. Informed your extended family that you own a reputable, prosperous business. How did they take it? She grinned faintly. Your mom sobbed. Your father became defensive. I ordered them to be calm and listen once. I laughed. I'm updating my will, she added. You will get 45% of my estate. Your siblings divided the remaining 55%, not recompense for their wickedness. You have merely proven yourself. Grandma, you don't need to. I am not requesting permission. I'm informing you. She gave me a smile of pride. You remind me of myself when I was your age. Everyone had thoughts on what I should do. I disregarded them and established my own accounting practice. Best decision I've ever made. I didn't know that. Your family never mentions it. Doesn't fit their story. She hesitated. I am also investing in your business. Not charity. A legitimate business choice. 18% equity in exchange for funding to grow. I gazed at her. You're serious. Completely. I checked your website and personally contacted 4 of your purchasers. Your stats are fantastic. The growth potential is significant. She grinned. You're a good investment, and I anticipate quarterly reports. I'm an involved investor. We discussed specifics over lunch. Her contribution would allow me to recruit 3 staff, improve equipment, and lease a suitable showcase location. One more thing, she said as we concluded. Your mother will attempt to reach you. Apologies and manipulation. Whatever you decide, remember that you do not owe them forgiveness simply because they are family. You owe yourself respect. I'll remember that. She grasped my hand. Good man. The following 3 weeks were explosive. I hired 3 men who were both talented and hungry, set up proper procedures, managed inventories, and implemented mechanisms for tracking commissions versus gallery items. Mid-January, my phone rang. Dad, I almost didn't respond, but I was curious. Hello, Owen. It's your father. I know. A long silence. I'm calling because we need to discuss what happened at Christmas. How about it? You humiliated us in front of our entire family. You made accusations. I told the truth. I interjected. There's a difference, Owen. I realize you're furious, but you need to think about this practically. We're dealing with investor worries and cash flow challenges. Dad, why did you really want me to join the family business? Silence. I'm not stupid, I said. You aren't proposing this out of care. What is truly going on with Caleb? More stillness. Then carefully. The firm is undergoing an audit. We are investigating some accounting irregularities. Irregularities, that's how we describe 4 years of embezzlement. We don't know that for certain. Grandma does, and now so does everyone else. I let it dangle there. You plan to humiliate me into joining a company that's hemorrhaging money because your golden boy stole from you, and you're too proud to admit it. That is not what this is about. Yes, it is, and the answer is still no. Handle your own mess. I hung up. February provided momentum. Following our successful initial meeting, the Tribeca Gallery organized a display. My boys stepped up. 14-hour days, precise joints, impeccable finishes. Then reality struck. A Manhattan client contacted me to renegotiate a $14,500 dining table price after delivery. The finish is not what I expected. $9,000 to $500 seems reasonable. I have the signed spec sheet. Take $9,500 or I'll dispute the charge. Hung up. I called a lawyer. Certified letter threatening a breach of contract action. Client paid in full within a week, with a written apology. Running a business meant battling for what you had earned. 3 weeks before the solo concert, things turned nasty. Caleb arrived in my workshop unannounced. He just strode in as if he owned the place. I was almost finishing a walnut credenza when I heard the door open. I looked up, and there he was. Same arrogant expression, same fancy outfit, same bright energy emanating from him like a sickness. Nice setup, commented, glancing around. Quaint. Get out. Relax. I'm here to discuss business. He picked up one of my chisels and examined it as if he understood what he was looking for. He did not. The auditors completed their preliminary report. Dad is in full panic mode. Mom is on Xanax. Chloe refuses to stop sobbing. Still not my problem. He walked by my workbench, running his finger over the edge of a piece I'd been working on for 7 weeks. 900 hours of effort. Be careful, I replied. That's worth more than your car. His jaw stiffened. It was the first time I'd gotten a genuine reaction from him. Here's the thing, little brother. He placed down the chisel and looked me in the eyes. It doesn't need to be ugly. Family cares for family. You bring me in as a partner at 55-45, and we call it even. I handle operations. You do your small woodworking project. I actually laughed. Are you serious? Dead serious? I have business experience. You don't have any connections. I can take this business to a new level. You took millions from the family firm, and now you want half of my business. His expression stiffened. I did not steal anything. There were cash flow concerns, accounting with a twist. Things became complex. The auditors had a different perspective. The auditors don't know the whole story. He moved closer. I am providing you a lifeline here. Take it. Get out of my workshop. Oh, and think carefully. You make me an enemy. Things get tricky. I know people, investors, clients. I can make phone calls that will bury your small interest in a week. Are you threatening me? He grinned and said, I'm giving you options. The same patronizing smile as Christmas. 55-45. Final offer. I don't hire thieves, and I definitely don't make them partners. His smile faded. You'll regret this. Get out now. He walked away, but something told me it wasn't over. 4 days later, it began. A client contacted me to cancel his commission. He stated that he had heard concerns regarding my business methods. Then another cancellation. Then an unfavorable review surfaced online. Someone I had never worked with alleged that I had delivered faulty items. The bogus reviews became imaginative. One person said I showed up to a delivery inebriated. Another stated I'd made a pass at some guy's wife. All of these accounts were created within 72 hours of Caleb's visit. All with no history, no prior reviews, no credibility among those paying attention, but they appeared on Google. That was what mattered to him. I called Liam. Caleb's going scorched earth, I told him. Fake reviews. He's trying to undermine my reputation. Document everything, he stated. Screenshots, timestamps, the works. Already on it? Then the calls began. Middle of the night, blocked numbers, heavy breathing, then disconnect 4 to 5 times every night. I started sleeping with my phone on quiet. 10 days later, I returned to my workshop and discovered the lock had been tampered with. Nothing was stolen, but the tools were moved around. A message. I am watching. That's when I contacted the cops. The officer sat across from me and took notes. Do you feel your brother is to blame? I'm sure he is. He threatened me around 3 weeks ago. Demanded that I give him half of my business. When I declined, things began. Have you got proof? I showed him everything. Text messages. The phony review came from an account made the day following our incident. The telephone records at 2:30 a.m. surveillance footage from across the street showed a person that matched Caleb's physique approaching my business. We can file a report, he told me, but without direct evidence linking him to the break-in attempt. What about harassment? What about the calls? What about business interference? He gazed at me intently. You might want to consider a restraining order, given the pattern. I filed the next day. A temporary restraining order was issued against Caleb. I had to go to court, show facts, and explain why I was concerned for my safety and livelihood. The judge studied everything. A menacing visit. Systematic harassment and attempted break-in. Granted. She said. Caleb must keep a distance of 750 feet from the petitioner and his place of business. No contact of any kind. When Caleb was served, he lost it. He contacted me from a burner phone, yelling about treachery, how I had ruined the family, and how he would hold me accountable. I taped the entire incident. I filed a violation report the following day. The burner phone call lasted 5 minutes. He called me every single name in the book. He threatened to burn down my workshop. He said he had buddies who could make things disappear. I allowed him to speak freely, every word recorded, every danger documented. He was so enraged that he forgot I had always been the silent one, the calm person who listened, the calm person who remembers everything. Second court appearance. The judge was not pleased. Mr. Caleb, she said, looking at him, you were clearly warned not to contact your brother. You breached the order within 24 hours. Your Honor, this is a family matter. It's a legal issue now. You are facing contempt charges. I'm extending the restraining order for 3 years and imposing criminal consequences for any future violations. Caleb's lawyer attempted to argue. The judge shut him down. His lawyer appeared to want to escape, probably thinking how he would explain this to his other clients. Walking out of the courthouse, I felt something unexpected. Not victory, not satisfaction, just clarification. I drew a line, defended it, and won. My solo show at Forge and Grain was all I'd hoped for. High-end area in a remodeled warehouse. Professional lighting made each item shine. My collection filled the entire main room, each sculpture wonderfully illuminated against bare brick walls. 7 years of labor. 7 years of being informed that I was squandering my life. All of it was validated in one room. I arrived early to set up. My 3 staff were already there, positioning things, confirming sightlines, ensuring everything was perfect. We had been working on this for months. Are you ready? One asked. As I'll ever be. At 70 Oda, guests began to arrive. Gallery owners from Manhattan. Collectors had flown in from as far as San Francisco. Design bloggers with cameras. Interior designers looking for talent. The room filled quickly. The energy was electric, palpable. I worked it organically, talking about the process, explaining methods, connecting with consumers who knew what true workmanship entailed. A collector from San Francisco purchased 4 pieces on the spot, paid the asking price without bargaining. I've been looking for someone who still does real joinery, he informed me. Everyone else is just gluing IK parts together and calling it bespoke. We shook hands. That one transaction covered my operational expenses for 4 months. My grandma walked in around 70:45. Alone, she caught my gaze and grinned. I walked over. Where is the rest of the family? I asked. Your father and mother chose not to attend, too humiliated following Caleb's court appearance. Chloe remained with them. She looked around at the audience. Caleb is already forbidden from being within 750 feet of you due to the restraining order. I heard he tried to show up but was turned away. That was news to me. Security must have dealt with it before I noticed. The show looks spectacular? My grandma commented. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your support during Christmas. I wouldn't have missed either. Your work speaks for itself. You do not need their permission. You never did. The show lasted until 11:30. By the time we closed, I had received orders for $79,000, not including the gallery's fee. 3 interior designers wanted to feature my work exclusively in their showrooms. 2 private clients requested unique home offices created from the bottom up. April stretched into May. Caleb's situation became public. Criminal charges were brought, not simply restraining order breaches, but also embezzlement. It turned out that the auditors found everything. 4 years of forged paperwork, dummy corporations, and channeled contracts. The whole operation was detailed in court files that became public record. I saw things unfold from a distance. The family firm was losing clients faster than they could count. Civil claims from investors were stacking up. The beautiful family image had been ruined. Everyone understood exactly why. My cousin forwarded me the news story. Bergen County real estate executive has been charged with embezzlement. Caleb's mugshot. Dad's firm titled, $4 million in money were misdirected. The golden child had been stealing for years, and they attempted to use me to hide it. Summer brought more commissions than I could handle. We recruited 5 additional employees and began turning down jobs. The brownstone job in Brooklyn generated recommendations. The recommendations resulted in magazine features. The features generated more referrals. Success builds on itself, relying on skill rather than manipulation. Late June, Mom phoned. First time in 7 months. This was the first time I'd exposed them in front of everyone at Christmas dinner. I had wondered how long it would be before desperation surpassed pride. I let it ring twice before responding. Hello, Owen. It's Mom. Her tone was odd, smaller, fragile in a manner I hadn't heard before. The lady who had spent years rejecting all I'd accomplished now sounded like she was barely keeping it together. Can we talk? About what? Everything. What occurred during Christmas? What your dad and I did. What we did not do. The years we wasted treating you as if you were inferior. She stopped, and I could hear her trying not to cry. I'm calling to ask for help. What about the company? What about the lawsuits? Caleb's legal fees? Everything's falling apart. Sheik's voice crackled. We made errors, Owen. Terrible errors. But we are still family. That must count for something. You intended to embarrass me and take my business in front of everyone we knew. That is not an error. That is a strategy. We were desperate. We were afraid. We weren't sure what else to do. So after years of calling it a hobby, a phase, a sandbox, now suddenly it's valuable enough to steal. Silence. Owen. Please. I understand. We don't deserve it, but we need you. Your father is hardly functional. Chloe is overwhelmed. Caleb is facing incarceration. She paused. We discussed it as a family. After Caleb's legal difficulties are resolved, you bring him in as a partner. Fee 545. He needs something to return to. He can handle operations while you work on your woodwork. I nearly laughed. The boldness was nearly astounding. Even after the harassment, threats, restraining order, and criminal charges, they still wanted me to help him. Help me comprehend this. Do you want me to surrender half of my company to the brother who threatened me? The brother who hounded my clients? The brother who attempted to break into my studio? The brother I had to obtain a restraining order against? And the golden kid who wrecked everything? He is still your brother. He needs a fresh start. And frankly, you owe this family something. I don't owe you anything. And I have a 3-year restraining order that states he cannot come within 750 feet of me or my company. So even if I wanted to, which I don't, what can work around that? Get it modified. No, Mom. I grinned. Actually smiled. Not furious, not bitter, just finished. I don't hire thieves, and I definitely don't make them partners. The stillness extended. When she spoke again, her voice sounded empty. I don't know what else to say. There is nothing to say. You made your decision. You now live with them. I am not here to bail you out. I am not Caleb's safety net. I am the son you rejected, and I created something substantial without you. Can we at least meet? Talk in person. We're done here. I hung up. Chloe texted around 2.5 hours later. You are ripping this family apart. I hope you are pleased. I took a screenshot. I added it to my collection. Then I returned to work on a commission for a restaurant in the Hamptons. 26,000 cash on delivery. Yeah, I was really pleased. Dad called and asked if we could meet. His voice sounded strange, defeated, broken in ways I'd never heard before. The man who was always in command always had a plan and understood how to manipulate a crowd. That man was gone. I agreed. A modest restaurant in Montclair on neutral territory. This was the type of area where no one would know us. No family reputation to protect. No picture to preserve. Just two people who needed to talk about something that had been on their minds for years. He strolled in, appearing as if he had aged 12 years, suit wrinkly, tie crook. The man who had always been neatly dressed, who had lectured me on appearance and professionalism, suddenly looked like he had been sleeping in his car. He sat down heavily, as if the weight of all that had occurred was physically crushing him. Thank you for meeting me, he said. You want to talk? He nodded, ordered coffee, and drew a deep breath. Caleb accepted a plea agreement last week, 24 months of federal minimum security. The family company filed for bankruptcy. We are liquidating assets, selling the estate. Everything is gone. He looked at me. I built that company for 33 years. I sacrificed everything for it. I gave up my connection with you, and it has ended. Caleb wrecked everything, and I let him. I didn't say anything, just waited. You were correct, he said, about everything. I was foolish to try to control you. It was wrong to ridicule what you've built. It was wrong to arrange that Christmas ambush. It was wrong to defend Caleb when he came after you. I was wrong about everything. Why are you telling me this now? Because I need you to understand that you were correct to go. You created something genuine, something sustainable, something important. He met my gaze. I am proud of you. Owen, I should have mentioned it years ago. I am saying it now. I saw him unravel. I felt nothing at all. I don't need you to save me, he added. I don't need you to join or solve anything. I simply want you to know that I was wrong and you were correct, and I'm sorry I didn't notice it sooner. We sat there silent. No, I answered. Nothing changes. We're still done. I understand. Please keep your apology. I do not need it. He nodded. I figured you'd say that. He stood to leave, then returned. Do you know what the worst part is? He asked. What? I have 2 boys. One who had the bravery to create something tangible and one who did not. I damaged my relationship by initially attempting to dominate him. The second wrecked everything in an attempt to appease me, then blamed everyone else when it went apart. He shook his head. I picked the wrong horse, and I lost everything because of it. He left. Not a vindication, not satisfaction, not even victory. Though I had earned that calm, I didn't need their approval anymore. I had already won. The journey to finding my own worth, separate from my family's expectations, was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Have you ever had to draw a line with family to protect your peace or your passion? What did that look like for you? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one.